Who's really in control of your life? You know, in the story of Genesis 42, we see three very different responses to control. Jacob is grasping for the control. He wants to cling on to what little he has. Joseph's brothers are really out of control. You know, they've lost all of it. I mean, they have no power in the situation they're in. But then Joseph, he holds all the cards, right? He has control, but we see that Jacob and his brothers, Joseph's brothers, and then Joseph himself, they deal with this very differently. Jacob, you know, he's really responding out of pain of loss, fear of losing more. Joseph's brothers really don't fully understand. They're weighed down by guilt and the guilt and shame from what happened in their past with Joseph. That's in the very back of their minds, haunting them. And then Joseph himself, he's recognizing that he's been given a situation here where he can reconcile with his brothers, but he is testing their heart to see where they're at. Do they still hate him? And all of these things swirl together, and what we can learn from this particular passage is that the more that we grasp for control, the more we're going to forfeit the peace that God wants to give us in our lives. You know, there's a lot of us that live this way all the time, right? We're constantly grasping for control for things. You know, we try to control our families, our careers, our finances, our image, because we're afraid of what might happen if we open our hands and let go of those things. But the tighter that we grip on, the more anxious and more fearful and less peace we're going to have in our lives. And control, it might feel like safety at first, but really it's destruction in disguise. But here's the good news that the gospel gives us is that God doesn't treat us like karma would. We often think he acts like an impersonal force, you know, tallying up our account. But what God does for us is he gives us what we don't deserve, and he doesn't give us what we do deserve. See, like Joseph showed grace to his brothers, Jesus shows grace to us. We're grasping for control, but he has it. And he uses his control not to punish us, but to reconcile us back to God. He wants to restore us, to rescue us, so that we can have that peace that he wants to give us in our lives. So let me just ask you guys this week, what might you still be holding on to? You know, what would it actually look like to trust God with that thing? Because when you release control, it really is going to change your life, and it's going to be strength, not weakness. So I hope that helps you as you seek to follow Jesus this week.